How you been, brother?
Good. We're live.
Good.
Let's go.
G'day, doggies fans. All Things Bulldogs, episode 41. Coming to you live on X, live from the Dogfather account on Facebook, and of course live on YouTube. Sorry, we're a bit late. I've had some internet issues. How are you going, Gas? We're going to talk about a lot today.
All going good, mate. Just donning my new gear. Just making sure that there's a new logo in the house. It's all good. I actually like this shirt for the CB they've got. I don't know if you can see on here. They've got all this. Yeah, I really like it for that. And being a golfer, this is awesome to take out and show off on the golf course as well. So,
look,
yeah.
I actually really love the shirt. I just think the logo on the polo shirt's a bit big.
Yeah, it is a big size. It is a big size. But it's actually got a really nice feel to it, embroidered it. It's got a really...
is it embroidered?
It's like a big rubbery piece. It's a really nice one, actually. It feels good. So if you get the chance to see them in the store, have a look and see. We've got to embrace it, guys. We've got to move on. Take them and go. And then until they change them again, we'll just keep going with what they give us.
We'll talk about everything when we get a few more people on. We're up to 12 and we get about 20. We'll start. G'day. Welcome to you, Nops. Welcome to you. It's Mr. Cat. And welcome to Timmy Gray. Got some good news for Timmy today as well that I'll let him know. Finally going to get some merch that he won from a quiz way back in last decade or something it was. They call me Gunner. I'm going to send him this and I'm going to send him that. All right, so how many we got on? 14. I'll just put a couple of these chats up that are already here. So it's Mr. Cat. Is my boy Curran leaving the dogs? Well, we'll talk. I can hear myself in the background coming through Gaz's microphone.
You're good, mate.
All right. So I will see. I've been talking about Curran for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's more of a mathematical sort of presumption. I hear a bit of stuff as well, but yeah, it makes sense. We will talk about that because Josh Curran was the first guy I sort of put on my shopping list to come to us for 2025. But he actually got to come a year earlier. He got released from his contract. So,
yep.
Really good player and someone I love a lot. Timmy, welcome to you. Timmy's watching on his mobile. So, guys, you got the ability to watch the YouTube now on your mobile phone in a portrait, or you can watch it on landscape as you normally do. It's up to you, or you can just not have my head on it at all and just listen to it. And welcome to you, Timmy. And Timmy says, looking good in the jersey. Guess.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, Timmy, look, I've been talking about this all the time for a long time. And so I've just opened myself some food. And I don't know why, because I don't need any food. I've been putting on weight. But, yeah, Timmy, we'll get to that, brother. We'll get to that. We got 36 people on. Let's get into it. That jumped up quick.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about Josh Curran, shall we? So basically, on numerous podcasts, I've said that there's going to have to be someone that leaves the club. Now, if they're going to keep Kikau, they've brought Leo Thompson in. You've got Jack Underhill joining the top 30 next year. We signed Fayunu Latu. Jacob Preston needed an upgrade. King needed an upgrade. There's a couple of other fellas on one-year deals that are fighting as well. Jack Todd, he's there as well, fighting for a deal. So, look, the one that's going to fall out, Logan Spinks joins the top 30 next year as well. So, the one to fall out is always going to be the one who's on more money, and this is what we sort of said, Gas, for quite a while, just a mathematical decision. I felt Josh after the Indigenous game when he got dropped and then came back, there was a definite change in the way he was running the football. It was good to see him run on a left edge and play that way. Defensively, works his ass off. Nothing's changed with Josh for our team, but something's got to give. You got Satili Tupanua on pretty big money on a long deal. It just makes sense. And the reason I've always said it is that I know that Josh will get another club and they'll pay similar because he's so versatile and you've only got to watch those Maori Indigenous All-Stars matches, which he'll probably feature in again, just to see how desperate he is over 80 minutes when it counts. And as much as I don't want to see him go, as far as the salary cap goes, you replace him in the lineup with a junior, and then whatever fat you got left may pay for another minimum contract player, or it may go towards a Stephen Crichton or a Leo Thompson or whatever. That's how it works out. It's like we get someone to replace him that can do what he does in the lineup, potentially or hopefully, and then have that extra money there for the more prestigious player or for that extra player to fill your 30. So, it's not going to be welcomed by a lot of fans because it's what we love. So, David Miller, not Curran. Good evening. When Gus says that Leo has started training with a special physical development coach, which is great to hear, what do you think the goal of that is to achieve? Well, I'll talk about that because I did an article on Leo and I actually spoke to someone in the club 2 weeks ago who told me that he'd been there training for about 3 weeks. He's scared shitless. Like this is the type of bloke we've hot. He's come to lead our club and be the man, right? And he is being prepared for the hardest preseason he's ever had in his life. And he wants to make sure he doesn't embarrass himself, right? So he's coming here, he means business. And all these people saying, he wasn't picked for New Zealand. Well, it's pretty hard to pick. You're not going to pick the forward from the team that's come last, who's had a few injuries on and off in the year, when you've got Joseph Tarpeen, Nafahu White, Moses Leota, and James Fisher-Harris in the team. Like where does he fit? He's not at that level yet, okay? He's getting to that level, and he will be that level, but he's not there yet. So I'm very excited about him, and I'll refer you to his article. We'll talk about what we said in it. But, the club's known for quite a while. Someone just had to ask us the right question at the right, and he responded. They could have asked him that 2 weeks ago. He would have said the same thing. The purpose of that, though, is because he wants to be ready and rocking and rolling by the time they get to that boot camp, when the spew buckets come out and all that sort of stuff. I'd say he's already doing his fair share of spewing already. What's your thoughts on that, Gas?
Yeah, look, I think he's probably part of the contribution towards Curran's predicament. I think him coming in as well. There's going to be too many of those players there, and I think Curran's money that potentially what he's on now, like you said, could be used for someone else to help out in other places. So. Leo's got a big, he's got big shoes to fill in that team in regards to being that leader, like you said. So the efforts that he's doing now is great to see from a dog supporter's perspective. Having Leo be there early and doing extras while everyone else is on holiday traveling around the world, him getting a head start, getting himself physically ready for what he knows is coming from Seraldo's regime, his training regime. That's very good to see from a supporter perspective. So I'm really excited about that. The fact that he's going to be putting his best foot forward and giving himself every opportunity to hit the ground running come start of the year. So I think it's probably good news for everyone. But Curran's served his purpose in the club now. Whether or not he continues or not, I mean, if he does stay, I'm sure we all would love to have him there. But whether or not he does stay, he served his purpose. He came in at a time when we needed him. And filled a lot of gaps. I mean, even this season, there was quite a few games when we were sort of struggling for middles. He was playing 80 minutes and busting his balls out there. Like every player, players make mistakes and players have amazing games. He's no different. Everyone has their moments, but overall, he's been a much more positive player than he's been anything else. So any negativity that anyone's got to him, it's no different than anyone having a bad game. It's isolated. So, So basically, I feel like if he does end up staying, it's good. But if he doesn't, then he'll probably be looking at a better opportunity for himself financially somewhere else. Especially with the fact that our team continues to develop, and we're a top 4 team now. So things are evolving in the club, and you have to keep moving with how things go. I know there's going to be suggestions, why don't we move other players on? Everyone's got a different purpose in the team. Jake Turpin is not on current money, so you can't just get rid of him and not – there's different things that you got to look at overall. So
Yep.
that's how I feel on that, mate.
Yeah, very good points there, Gas. I'd also suggest that with Curran – look, I'd say that the reports that come out by Chamis and that is pretty much the same as what we were doing here, is just assessing who's got to go, sort of thing. It makes sense. But what I would suggest is, see, a player like Josh Curran may not even know that he's being shopped around or his manager's allowed to look around or whatever. But it's official in November now. I would suggest you'd have 4 or 5 clubs that would definitely want his services. You don't have to think too hard about teams that would definitely benefit from Josh. But like anyone, he's got a girlfriend. He's got family. He's got, does he want to move from Sydney? Does he want to stay in Sydney? Does he want? I'd suggest he wants to stay at the Bulldogs and probably wants to prove to them, come sign me. But the problem is that if he's got opportunities to secure his future, they're going to want to sign him up sooner rather than later. He probably doesn't want to be in a situation where he's gets to July or August next year and he's not got a club. But that's not going to happen because his return on investment, he's been and all the work that Josh has done off the field as well. Like, in my opinion, he should have won Dally M awards for the work that he's done with the Indigenous kids and stuff. He's just a great kid, just a great guy. Like, you can just tell. You can see he just, when he took that photo of the Papua New Guinea kids, you got Corey Parker talking down the concept that he once captained. Yeah, you've got Josh Curran there, and you can just see how
embracing it.
Yeah, embracing it, and not only happy to be there, wanting to be there. Like. But let's have a look at a couple of more chats. When we do on the portrait, it cuts out our heads, which that's all good. Rhodey Ryan says, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm here for the accent. No worries, Rhodey. I don't know where you're from, Rhodey, but...
Probably America or Canada, usually.
G'day, Canada. And there's Aki.
G'day, Shorty.
Morning, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Morning to you. Good evening. And it's Mr. Cat. Why don't we sell Jake Turpin instead? He has no discipline, gives away penalties left and right. Well, let's talk about that. It's Mr. Cat. And I know, Gas, you covered it a little bit, but Jake Turpin plays hooker. We need hookers. And he also plays a small ball-playing lock role. And his discipline and penalties were in one match against the Dolphins where he'd played like 5 games in previous 2 years. He's fresh as. and coming off injuries. The next time he played for us against the Broncos, he was the best player in the field for the first 30 minutes. He was absolutely hammering the shit out of that Broncos pack. Now, I know they were missing Huss and Carrigan and the like, but he was the best player in our team. And, and I know for a fact that's what everyone thought around the club, including his teammates. So he plays a different role. Like Josh Curran, we're replacing him with a player in the lineup like Logan Spinks, potentially. Who knows? Logan comes onto an edge or does he start in the middle? Harry Hayes has been signed beyond up till 2028. So maybe he's taken the spot of Josh Curran, and I would suggest Harry's on a little bit less money than what Josh is on. So it all comes down to money. We can't keep them all. We're also going to talk about a bunch of juniors which have left the club that may surprise some people. But got the go-ahead to talk about that now, so I will. But let's get through them, Gas.
Got a few Dragon supporters here as well today because they've got nothing else to do with their team. So they're excited about the Vegas game, I can see there. A lot of pumping happening there.
I think the Dragons are going to be hunting the Bulldogs. I reckon it's going to be a great game, and they might make a grand final out of this in round one.
It's a big occasion.
I'd expect the Bulldogs are going to do the same sort of fucking thing. And what I will say is the Dogs go pretty bloody good in these big matches that mean something. They have all year. The Para game, the Manly game, the Roosters Heritage game the year before. Rabbitohs game at Good Friday. We've been winning at Belmore the last 3 times we played there. Won't be playing there again for a while. So we're starting to tick off some boxes. So look, the Dragons are on a bit of a. They got close in a lot of games last year, and I think, look, if Shane Flanagan doesn't get it right, he's gone.
If they get
if they don't make a run, he's gone. I reckon. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, look, I think if they've got all their players to choose from, they've actually got a lot of good players. I mean, they were decimated by injury, especially in the forwards this year. So, and some of those younger guys that they've got in their team, the brothers, etc., like they're a really good team. So, they're not going to be taken lightly. I mean, they were one of the few teams that beat the Raiders and a few other, highly fancy team this year. So when they put it together, they can get the job done. So, we obviously can't take them lightly, but I'm sure Scralla, it'll be a great game and a great occasion for those who are going to be fortunate enough to attend. So, it's a great rivalry. It has been for a long time. So bring it on.
G'day, and this is our resident Dave. He does a lot of the scriptings for Buzz 360. He says, I heard Josh Curran constantly cheats on his missus, and they're producing a show based on that. It's called Curran Affairs.
Yeah.
Joke, everyone.
I'd like to think it was true, but Josh and his partner are amazing together. There's 3 of them actually. There's a dog in the picture as well, but Josh is an awesome guy and looks after his missus very well. So
100%.
Yes.
That's a joke, everyone.
Yes.
From our resident analyst, statman, and comedian. And I'm trying to actually get him to do stand-up because I reckon he'll go well. Reed Perry, good name. Bulldogs are shit, Sharks are better. Well, they should be, mate. They've got a good coach. They've had a settled lineup. They've done well for a number of years. And if you're a Sharks supporter, you should be really happy with how they've gone the last since basically they won the comp, really. Like, they've done all right. And I couldn't give a fuck. We beat them this year early. They beat us in the last round. They made the Final 4 like they should have. They paid $1 million for Adam Fanua-Blake or more. And they're stuck with the players they've got for a while. So if those players don't ascend, they could be in trouble. We love the Buzz Rothfield cameo. Typical Bulldogs fans. Typical whatever you are fan. So that's the thing. You get a few, what do you call them? Trolls. They got no context behind anything they say. You know, if they had to fucking say anything to your face, they wouldn't say it. That's the thing, because, yeah, anyway.
It's all right. We're the only ones, I think, still running.
Come to a call, brother. Come to a call. Come to a call. Go into the kennel and tell everyone how typical Bulldogs fan they are, and they'll show you how typical they are. Up the doggies. All right. But thank you for viewing the group. And if you've got some questions about your own team, put them there. I bet you I can probably, oh, let's try this. I bet you Gas and I know more about your team than you do. Part of that comes from being so shit for 8 years in a row that we had to watch other games to watch a good game of footy.
Yes.
But, nah. What's the thoughts, guys? What's going on with Curran? Like, tell me, what do you think? What do you think about him leaving? Are you sad? Are you happy?
Interesting that he's on holidays with Reed Money at the moment. So,
yes,
that's something in that maybe. I don't know. Anyone make of it what you think. But like you said, I think I was very disappointed that in the Daily M's he was for me the favourite for the Ken Stevens medal. But I feel like they gave it to what's his name, because he was retiring. Kieran Foran.
Kieran Foran.
So I feel like because he was retiring, they gave it to him. So yeah, but there we go. Tigers saying we can clear the deck for Curran and get Tino. Just a little bit more money needed than that. Still no team list coming up for the. We're trying to wait and see. We're on Preston watch, everyone. Everyone, in case you're not wondering, Aki there on Light Up the City is on Preston watch, trying to see if there's a team list coming up. Which hopefully should be soon, to see if our mate Preston can get his debut this week in the third Ashes Test, which has been decided. I don't know if anyone watched the game. What were your thoughts on the game? It was a heavily sort of defensive game. I don't know if you noticed there was no line markings on the field because of the stadiums over there and the waiting towards the soccer stadiums, but there was a very, very short 10 that was keeping the teams closer together than they should have been. And it was 100%. Probably reminded us a bit of the 80s when the old 5 metre rule, for those who might remember. If you remember the grand finals in the 80s, what was it, 6-4 and 4-2 and all those low-scoring games.
Yep.
7-6, I think 7-6, the one before Dogs against the Dragons in 85, yes. So they were all defensive games. But that's sort of what it felt like the other day. I think it was more 8 meters than 10 meters. It was hard to gauge for the ref, but yeah, it was an interesting game. Once again, Reece Walsh coming in with a big shoulder or a big hit, and he's been cleared to play the third game. Surprise, surprise. So interesting stuff.
I think there you go. Unbelievable.
Yeah, always seems to. I think he hit the winger there young, so and he survived. So
we'll finish chatting about that quickly because I just want to add to your point, and then we'll go back to talk about Tino.
Yes.
I think that ground was a bit shorter and a bit skinnier. It was like the Las Vegas one, like the George Williams. Like they kept. You could tell they were trying. I think that they had the tactics right and doing a lot of kicking, and they were trying to play fast and get it to the edges. But the edges, there was 3 people waiting for them every time, like for their winger. They needed to use Watkins and Kai Pearce-Paul more. Like that's where you just have to keep momentum through the middle, and then get short balls to those edge players, and they just had to get Watkins on Cleary and Kai Pearce-Paul on Munster. That's what they needed to do until they just scrapped a try, because they eventually would have got it. Just they need to play simpler through the middle, and I think they were there to play the English, but
yeah,
you know, I'm listening to people be really critical of their attack. Well, they're not as fast, they're not as fit, they're not as cohesive as much as they were trying to be. And they needed to play a different game. Like Williams was running diagonally and out to that left edge all the time. Like it was just rubbish.
And they had 53% of possession as well.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
But look, having no line markings, they were playing 8 meters and they were able to keep up that intensity longer because that extra 2 meters that they're not running back for defence, it makes a hell of a difference over a game of rugby league.
Yeah.
We got sort of 2 opportunistic tries. Nathan Cleary put the ball on the spot and they got it back and we score in the corner and Munster scores that try. Reminded me a bit of the Crichton try out on the left edge earlier in the year. Let's go. So when it comes to clearing the decks for Tino, I just don't think there's any desire for the Bulldogs to get Tino to the club. We just don't have enough. I think there's. Yeah, it's just he's just not value for money. You just don't get your value for money out of him. He's playing, he's on a 31% win record at the Titans when they're at over the same period of time, the same 32%. He's missed a heap of matches. He's played 84 games in 5 years or something, or 6 years. It works out that it's cost the Titans like $75,000 a game for Tino. I just don't think they've got I think he tries too hard as well, and he takes too many possessions, too many carries. And I think he needs to stay there, but I think if he reduces his minutes and plays a different sort of role, they could actually go up a few rungs and go up a few steps. I think they rely on him way too much. See, at Canterbury, if he's willing to come here for $800,000 or the same as what Thompson's on, I can see the Dogs going, yeah, no problem. But he's not going to. He's going to make $1.2 million a year minimum, and we're not paying that ever.
Yeah.
It would surprise, I'll eat humble pie if we do, but I just can't. It just doesn't make financial sense why they would do it. Let's get to Andy. And thank you for joining the group, the channel, Andy. Very much appreciated, mate. The Raiders and Penrith will be hungry if we can match them and contain the likes of Reece Walsh, we can win the comp. Yeah. Very good point. I expect the Raiders to kick on again, but they've got a new halfback taken over. It's going to be a bit like the Dogs. Yeah. He's had a few games at first grade already, though, and he's been on a good development path, so expect him to come in and do a role. But that could take time. G'day, Ziyad. Welcome to the Silver family. What do you think? Do you think Tino's staying at the Titans? Timmy's asked me that.
Look, he's testing himself out to see what's the appetite out there, mate. And he probably wants to go to a team that potentially he can have success. And that's where he's going to struggle to get the kind of money he wants and get a team that wants to pay that much money for him. Because he's not a Fanor Blake. He's not one of those players that, He's a different type of player. So I think he's going to struggle to find a balance because he's talking about having success, and he feels like it's not time yet at the Titans. He's waited too long, and it's probably not going to happen in the time that he's going to be at his peak. So he's probably trying to find a balance between getting some more money and having a team that's going to be challenging for a title, within the next, 2 or 3 years where he can potentially have that success. So it takes its toll when you're playing a team that's constantly not doing well. It does take its toll on you. Eventually it wears you down in any sport that you play. It's hard to keep turning up and giving all that effort and you're just not getting those results. So I can understand what he's doing, but the players only have a short life cycle, all of them. So they've got to maximize what they can in that time. It's, it is what it is, but, he's a good enough player that he feels like he deserves to be somewhere where he can get rewarded for his efforts. And good luck to him for trying, mate. There's a lot of players out there. There's a lot of money out there. And if he feels like he can get it, then at least he can try. But it's going to come down to him and deciding what he's comfortable to sort of let go of if he has to be able to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think Tino will be at the Bulldogs. I think he's a 40% chance of staying at the Titans, 30% chance of going to the Bears, and a 30% chance of going to the Storm. I think they're the only three sides that he'll be going to. And that's look, I just can't. The dog Phil Gould doesn't think he's worth $1 million, so he's basically said that he thinks he's overrated. So, and by saying that, he says he's a great player and he deserves all the representative honours and all the money he earns and that, but he doesn't think he's worth. It's a risk to your cap to pay $1.2 million for a Tino Fa'asuamaleaui. So for the Gold Coast, what I'd be saying is that we want to keep you on your 10-year deal. If you choose to go on the market, if I was them, I'd actually revise my offer and I'd keep it the same amount, but I'd say, yep, we're offering you the same amount, but there's no get-out clauses whatsoever. Or I would say I'd put incentives around it. But look, I don't envy having to make this deal with him. Yeah. The situation they're in and the situation that he wants to be in, it's both parties have got to do what's right for each other. So, look, I could see him going to Melbourne. Part of my gut thinks that's going to happen. They've paid out big Nas. Pappenhausen's left. There's cash there, There's cash there.
Look, I think the Dogs, when they wanted him a few years ago, that ship has sailed now. We're a different landscape. We're a different team than where we were when they were considering him previously. When Arthur was involved and trying to get him involved, trying to help out with the pubs, whatever it might be. I think we're a different team now, and we've moved on from that now. So I think we're looking for different players now, and we've got a cultural fit that you have to work into now. You're not just coming here to be on more money. You're coming here to be part of something special. That's what we're building. So I don't think he's an option for the Dogs. I think he's an option for other teams that he feels he may do all right with.
Well, let's just do some shout-outs to people who've just said hello. We've got G'day Mike. He loves your shirt. Can't wait to get one as well.
You get some bonus Lucas. When you get your merch, guys, you get some stickers as well. Grows on you, don't worry. Trust me, the more you see it, the more it grows on you.
Welcome to Benton. We got any others? Jay Pizzle, welcome to you. He thinks Tino's overrated. Welcome to Phil. How you going?
Hey, Phil.
We offered him a pub last contract. Look, I think Laundy's tried to talk to Huss and Tino, and Laundy's got a bit of a, he goes and tells everyone what he's up to and what he's doing, including some media. the club had no discussions with Tino whatsoever. Gus has met him, so he's definitely not coming.
That's it. That's the measuring stick, mate.
Now, what's his name? Timmy asked another question. No, I'm not surprised how poorly they're going. It's hard. I think the team that plays first, the two teams that play first have the advantage in this scenario. I don't think it worries Australia too much, but when it comes to Tonga and Samoa, just say Tonga played New Zealand first. I think Samoa might have struggled, but that's just my thought. It just takes a couple of key positions, couple of players who have just not where they needed to be at this time of the year. That's all it can take. And then you get another side, which is just all in tune, raring to go. I don't really blame Christian Wolf. Look, they made the final against Australia last year. It's only a 3-way series. I don't put too much into it, really. I think you're better off keeping the coach as long as possible in international footy. He's an NRL experienced coach. It's at the end of the season. I think international coaches could actually be I'd have no problem with an NRL coach coaching any team that's an international side throughout the year at any point, because it's such a small campaign. And it's usually, and the main part of international football is after the season has ended. So, but there's Christian Wolf getting a break, getting a chance to spend time with his family. He's getting a proper rest, like all that. If it affects his job at the Dolphins, that's when you'll see him leave, not the other way around. I think Tino will either go to the Dogs or the Storm. Yeah, I don't think he's coming to the Dogs, brother, but as I said, I'll eat humble pie. Thank you, Andy. And if anyone else wants to join the channel, pay a subscription, feel free to do so. It helps pay for this beautiful production you have with my face and Gasson and Gassan, Gas. I'm hopeless with names. Little pictures. I love the dirt bike. What's that? Is that a KZ 250 or 125 or a... I can't even tell. My nephew used to ride dirt bikes all the time. Tiger says if we offload Curran or King, get Tino, Latu to lock, Leo at 8, Hayward at 9, Tino at 10, Satilli and Preston and Latu, Kickow to leave after 2026. Yeah, look, that would be a very good forward pack, no doubt. I just don't see it happen, and I think you'll see Kickow there for 27, maybe a bit of 28. We've got Leo there, and I want to keep Max King until he's... Look, I think King will be done after 27. I think he'll be sort of... I don't know. There's just something about this Serrato system which I don't see a lot of longevity in a lot of players. He demands a lot physically. But as we get better and as King having Thompson there and having these young fellas develop to be able to play longer minutes, that's only going to extend him as well and freshen him a bit. He'll benefit greatly having another 45-minute opening partner with him. There's a big... When you're playing 25 minutes and the other bloke that's with you is lucky to play 30, it just means you've got to always prepare to play those long minutes, where if you've got your partner in crime and you can both do 50 each, no problem, and he can even do 60, that allows you to go a little bit harder in some ways. That's all about how they invest their energy and how they all do it together at different points. And I just think the more energy they take out of the opposition in that first part of a game gives just that little bit of extra energy for our boys coming off the bench as well. So Yeah, that's in a perfect world. That's how I see it. Tino's a good defender, man. Like he hits hard, he throws himself. You know, he'll throw himself at anyone to get to him. He's desperate. Like he plays like his life depends on it, and that's always a great thing. Like there's nothing wrong with his attitude on the field. I just think he tries too hard and tries to do too much. I think he'd be great in our team. Don't get me wrong, but you also got to weigh up. You know, if they, I don't know. It's a lot different when a player comes on a minimum contract or 250 grand a season and they've got knee injuries and you can resurrect them and build them and then get longevity out of them. That's a lot different to bringing someone in who's worth a heap of money and they've already had numerous long-term injuries. But look, he might be just completely resurrected with his knees and stuff. Like they might have done a really good job with him at the Coast. No idea, Timmy. No idea. That's just, I think anyone could make that story up, to be honest. All right, what do we got here, Gus?
One thing that bothers me with Tino, he's not honest media-wise. He supported Hasler. Where's Hasler now? Players can save coaches with not just with performance, but also their salary. I don't think. Look, every player's going to support their coach, just like the Bulldogs supported Barrett. Whatever. It's at the end of the day, the team's results dictate that, and management overlooks sometimes the players, and the coach is usually the first one to get the heat. So that's been standard everywhere, all around. So I'm not sure that's going to be any truth in that, to be honest.
G'day, Peter, you legend. Peter runs the All Things Bulldogs Facebook page. He does a great job, and he's one of our best friends. Great to see you again, my friend. Yeah, I get that, Benton. It's a new era now. They've got a small window. Like the blokes in the 80s used to have jobs as well. Like they weren't professionals. They are now, and they train like it. They practice 40, 50 hours a week to be able to play for 80 minutes. You know, it's just the way it is. Who do you think will win the Pacific Championship? Samoa or New Zealand will be at the game?
Yeah,
I think New Zealand will win.
It'll be a big game, though. It's going to be pretty close to sold out. I think it's going to be a huge game. And I'm not sure about yourself in Brisbane, but around here, there's a lot of people driving around with a lot of flags on their vehicles.
I'm seeing Samoan flags everywhere when I'm driving around on all their houses.
Yeah.
It's the Samoan people living there. Because they got their flags out the front, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's very well supported. It's going to be a big game, so hopefully it's a cracker as well.
Yamaha TTR 250 with the Bulldogs colours. That's it, Andy. Yamaha's called the YZs. Is that what they called them back in the day? RM 125 or RM 250, Kawasaki, all these ones. Have a feeling Tino would say the Gold Coast Matthew Johns might give him a pay rise. There you go, Pete. And I think Tallis has bought into it as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. They want to help the Titans win the comp. Youth brings more energy, says Timmy. Tiger Lala, Broncos show the blueprint. Big explosive forwards who bend the line. Huss, Xavier Willison, Carrigan, small ball forwards can only get you so far. We failed the last 2 months. Yeah, look, mate, the blueprint is that they developed all of those 3 players in their own system. That's the blueprint. Okay? That's the blueprint. You can't go by that. You've got to develop it. They're all Broncos. They all want to play for the Broncos. I know Huss has, demanded continual renegotiation on his contract. But in the end, the best prop in the game has got a premiership ring. And Pat Carrigan's close to the second best prop or lock in the game. And then you've got Xavier Willison, who might surpass them both. So they've developed those players in their system, and that's what we have to do, and that's what we're trying to do. So we've brought in players, given them an opportunity through great coaching, through great club culture building, through great leadership. Players like Max King, Kurt Mann have developed from journeymen and from fringe players and players that looking for that last opportunity into Origin players, mate. And that's so good for the kids. And when I tell you some of the juniors we're about to let go, it might not raise eyebrows to everyone, but when you keep a good eye on the juniors, a lot of these players I thought would end up pushing for a first grade spot at one point. And the fact that our club hasn't been able to retain them all just shows you how much is going into for us to develop a Payne Huss if we can get one. And to get a Payne Huss is probably a one in every 10,000 player type thing. You might not see one for another 10 years. So you've got to develop them from within, or you've got to bring them across young and identify the talent, bring them to your club, and then help them ascend that way. Buying 28-year-old and 27-year-old front rowers, 29-year-old front rowers on $1.2 million isn't going to do shit for your team. It's not. Leo Thompson's only 25 and he hasn't hit his peak yet. And he's about the same age as a lot of these other guys in our team. So that's a strategic signing. That's someone who's just below the top tier, who's tasted the top tier, who could come in and ascend with our side and take us to the next level. Okay? And we got him for 4 years.
Tino is 25 as well.
What are we talking?
Hey, Mick, Tino is 25 as well, just with and a lot of training. He'll be turning 26 soon, in a couple of months.
I haven't thought about the top 8 yet, Timmy. Honestly, I rarely give my top 8, my predictions, who's going to make the 8 and anything like that, because I think there's 17 sides that can make the 8. I think the comp is just closer and closer and closer. And hopefully we're a chance of making the 8.
That's it.
What's happening with Critter and how serious is his injury? So Critter's, I think he'll be having a softer pre-season to recover and to get his body right. And I'm sure he'll be working with some pretty talented people to get his body to 100%, because he's definitely not been close to that for a long time. And when he gets back to that, the NRL needs to look out. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, guys, you got anything else to add to that?
No, mate. It's going to be exciting to see when he comes through his sort of pre-season regime, getting himself back to full fitness. That's going to be exciting to see what he's going to offer. We spoke about it so many times during the year, but you can see during the games how many times he protects himself, only sort of does what he has to do. Obviously, he focuses extremely well on defense, but only does what he needs to do in attack, and everyone else around him sort of does a lot more. Especially all the hit ups and all the sort of the dirty work. But he comes in when he has to. But yeah, I think getting himself 100% is going to see a different critter. Yeah, so that's going to be exciting to see.
I think they'll compete for the top 8, Timmy. I think they've got a very good side. They always have. They've got a really big club. It's a foundation Queensland club. It's been there for 100 years. It's got plenty of money. It's got great culture. And they'll be expecting to make the 8 this year. I'm currently doing the 5 players that need to improve for every club on Zero Tackle. So you'll get to see my thoughts a lot if you go and read those articles. I think we're about to release the Cronulla Sharks, and then it'll be the Gold Coast Titans. So the 5 players in these sides that need to improve for them to go further. Just as a precursor, improvement isn't a negative word either. It's improvement is a positive word. Players that need to improve a little bit, which will have a bigger influence on their team's chances. There was also the Leo Thompson article, so go and read that as well. It's good for you to read things, I'm telling you. And that'll be coming out on Zero Tackle as well. Hey?
I think with that as well, for me, it's always going to come down to who you keep on the field during the season. I mean, if you look at this year, look at where the Warriors were until Luke Metcalf got injured, for example. Just one player in their team, and then the slide happened. For quite a while. And for quite a while. But once that happened, I mean, it just took that change in dynamic, and the whole team's sort of ability to continue what they were doing changed. So different teams.
Oh, and they lost Mitch Barnett as well.
There you go. So it depends on who you've got out there. If you can get your best team at the right time of the year, as some of the better teams did towards the end of the year, that's where. But you've got to keep yourself, churning through the whole year, and that's why teams that have got good, strong depth have always got that advantage. You want to survive the origin period. If you've got players missing, you want to survive when you've got those teams, and then you want to be able to have the luxury to potentially, rest players at the end of the season to be fresh heading into the finals. So, you miss a few big players, especially early in the year, a few big injuries, and it can really shake your season around, especially for teams like the Gold Coast and whoever else. It can have an impact. So, but the same for every team, to be honest. So that's
Well, look, their little halfback, or he's not that little, but obviously Preston. He's going to get better and better and better. And he might even be pressing for Origin next year. So this is what I mean. Like, if you've got players like Matt Burton, Katoa from the Dolphins, all these sort of players that hold really important positions in their team, if they're pushing for selection in the representative sides, those sides would be doing pretty well. So that's sort of what I link it to. And we'll see what happens, but 100% right, man. Gas is spot on. Injuries are a huge thing, and it's quite annoying when people just, because they've got it in their mind their mind's made up that one player is the reason for their team's problem. And when you talk about injuries, you talk about context, because the media say it, fans think it's all right to say it too. Oh yeah, but every team has injuries. Well, it depends who the injuries are to, when they happen, and who they're happening against. And when they're happening in the middle of games, 3 games in a row to your centres, and you're losing your captain and your most influential player off the field, you're not going to fucking win that match. If you play that match 100 times, you're going to lose it nearly every time. And if you can swap out, we could swap out Galvin for Sexton. We could swap out Hayward for Marnie. It's not going to change a fucking thing. When you're losing your centre early in a match and you've got to reshuffle your side. But we weren't just reshuffling them, we're reshuffling all season. And it wasn't like because the coach wanted to do it. It's because he had to do it most of the time. Because you guys don't look. There's a few people who sort of get to know a few things by luck or whatever, by people they know. Now, they could come and tell all the fans, hey, look, these players are really badly injured, so just get off their back. But they can't do that. They can't tell the world that. They've got to keep that to themselves. Yes, all teams have to manage in-house injuries to get people through the season, no doubt. But context is when the injury happens, who it happens to, and what time of the season and against, and who you're playing. So, it's time people stop listening to outrage and stop pushing outrage and start listening to context and being a little bit more gratuitous. It's Queensland won every fucking competition this year. As a New South Welshman and a Bulldog supporter, it's diabolical, but they're not going to do it every year, right? It'll be our turn at some point. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Support your team, support your club, and, be a part of that club that had Steve Mortimer, Terry Lamb, Hazem El Masri, Matty Utai, Stephen Price, Stephen Folkes, Andrew Ryan, Willie Mason, Braithwaite Astor, Brent Sherwin, all these players, Josh Reynolds. Every time you pay your membership, you're part of that club legacy, right? That's how I see it.
It was a disappointing year from the aspect of our supporters allowed the media to basically get in their heads, like you said. And then it just became people just fixating on something. And even to now, you still read comments online and people are still blaming Seraldo, or it's people.
Idiots.
I still don't understand sort of why people just want to believe things without understanding the full context. And this is why, for me, I got involved so much with yourself, because you were the one that was clearly explaining everything so clearly that everyone could understand. And it was very obvious, everyone. Like, if you're listening, if you're there, if you're watching, there's so many things that go into what happens. The whole Galvin situation, it's all been done to death. Everyone's spoken about it. We've all gone through it. But so many things happen in a season, even in the coaching, in the club. There's so many things that happen to get to where we're at, what we're trying to do. Sexton was not re-signed. Marnie was being shopped around because he's manager. There's so many little things that wanted to happen, but people just keep fixating on what the media wants. It was just disappointing to see supporters who just assumed that we should be finishing first because we were first in the middle of the year, that's automatically going to happen, and not taking the time to have a look and see what we're trying to build, especially after what we've come through in the last 8 years. A lot of these people weren't really around in the last 8 years. They were conveniently quiet. Some of them were, but a lot of them weren't. I mean, a lot of the passionate ones, yes, they're always around. They always got their heart on their sleeve, but still to now, there's some people there, and some of them are very got influential websites and Facebooks, etc., with thousands of followers, and they're still spreading stuff that doesn't have context properly supporting it. No. It's disappointing to see, because people then want to join an argument and they just want to say the wrong thing, unfortunately. So that's why, for me, what Michael preaches, what the Dogfather says, what this is all about is about having the right information so you can have all the information. And it's not allowing people just to come and rant. If that's going to happen, then you'll notice that you're very quickly removed from these pages. You're not around if you're saying things, especially against players, derogatory, etc., etc. So there's a lot of pages out there where you can do that. That's fine. But, in what we support here, we're all about having the truth and the right context so everyone can understand what's going on, and you're all better informed, which is why we're going through 360 all the way through till next year. We're not stopping every week because we've got a lot of information to keep sharing.
Bit of banter from Phil. Thanks for that, Gas. I really appreciate those kind words, mate. And look, I'll tell you a little secret. There's a lot of Bulldogs fans who are between the age of say 30 and 50 or 30 and 60, right? I'd say probably more so 40 to 60, who knew nothing but the success through the 80s and then the success in the 90s and then through the early 2000s and whatever else. And there was a lot of these people have been private voting members of the club for years. They've been going to the Leagues Club their whole life. Most of them are on social media now as well. Some of them are aligned with different factions within supporter bases that were aligned to some of the board members, like influential in getting some board members voted in at certain times and whatever else. Some of those, there's a small percentage of those people that would leak stuff to people like Buzz Rothfield. There's people who get little advantages like free drinks and pies and shit because they would, do the bidding of certain people around the club and whatever else. And they're just supporters like everyone else. And a lot of these people, when it was announced that Phil Gould was coming back to the club, they already hated Phil Gould. So they just sit there and wait. But as soon as there's any sort of poor performance, they're the ones that are popping up everywhere. Some of them are under different accounts. Some of them are on their own account. I know who they all are. It's only about 50 people I'm talking about. A little bit less than that, between 40 and 50 people. And these people are very, they only understand one thing, and that's winning. Winning and nothing else. And they have it in for Phil Gould, and Phil Gould is the reason for everything that goes wrong at our club. And anything that Phil Gould likes or loves is also the problem. So you'll see a trend with these people. I don't know how some of them show their face, to be honest, with the shit that comes out of their mouth. And then they turn up to signing days, these people, a lot of them as well. They spread rumors. They ring up. Some of them give stuff to media and everything. So, yeah, every fan base has got them. But our club, look, I'm in quite a few different groups just because I do a lot of stuff with media and that now. And what I notice is that our fan base is the most engaged fan base with the governance and operation of our club than any other fan base out there. Like some of the stuff our fans talk about, some of our fans, I mean, just isn't on the Richter scale of the general fans across most other clubs. Like some, I never hear anyone saying sack the board anywhere really except at Canterbury. It's like our fans are just way too engaged in shit that doesn't concern them, or they know nothing about, yet they talk about. But anyway, we've wasted a bit of time talking about that. Andy says getting that 5 to 6 win games out of the gate at the beginning.
Yeah, Andy. While Mick's having some internet issues there.
Helps us a lot. Yeah, we're back now, are we?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, but I was going to say, similar to what we had this year, mate, we had a great start this year and basically equaled our record for the most wins out of the gate. So it did allow us to be, smart about how we played the rest of the year, basically. It was hard for those other teams. Like, look at Penrith, had to keep chasing their tail all the way through to the end of the year. It's tough. I mean, they got there, but it's tough. It's harder. So it does always help. It's a good feeling when you come out early hard. So, yeah.
I'm just going to show people just so they can see it in black and white. So we beat the Raiders the one time we played them. We lost to the Storm twice. We lost to the Broncos twice. We lost to the Sharks once. We lost to the Panthers twice. And I'm talking about semis as well. We lost to the Roosters once. We lost to the Dolphins once. And we lost to the Tigers once. Do you notice the trend there? So we beat the Knights twice, they came last. We beat the Titans twice, they came second last. We beat the Dragons twice, they came third last. We beat the Rabbitohs twice, they came fourth last. We beat the Cowboys, who came 12th. We beat the Eels twice, who came 11th. We beat the Sea Eagles once. We beat the Roosters once, Panthers once. We beat the Warriors the one time we played them. We beat the Sharks once. And we beat the Raiders the one time we played them. So who did we lose to? We lost to the Storm, Broncos, Sharks once, and the Panthers twice. So the 4 teams that made the prelim final were the teams that gave us most of the losses. And people want to talk about Galvin. We beat the bottom 4 teams. We won 8 of our, how many games? 8 of our 16 games were against the bottom 4 teams, and we won them all. We won 11 of our games against the bottom 7 teams. 12 of the games against the bottom 8 sides. So, it's the context right there for you to see. If you don't get that, we beat the teams that ended up finishing at the bottom of the ladder. We had a good draw. But it's one thing to have a good draw. You've got to beat these teams, and to beat them home and away is really fucking hard. So well done to Toby and anyone who was in the team that beat these sides and made sure that we got the win. And some of those games, we had to win them 2 and 3 times. We had leads, then nearly gave up leads, and then, things went wrong in the game, and then we had to sort of reset and win it again. We had to play for 80 minutes, and we did. So well done to the Bulldogs. But yeah, if we're going to play the Raiders twice next year, the Storm twice, the Broncos twice, the Sharks twice, the Panthers twice, and the Warriors twice, and the Roosters twice, next year, it might be a bit of a tougher season. We might struggle to make the 8. Like that's a real possibility. And then you got all these other teams getting better. But what I would say is that I reckon we'll get a win against the Storm. We'll get a win against the Penrith Panthers. Just depends if we've got the team. Depends on injuries. But all things equal, I think we will win a couple of these games against better opposition. And I think we'll still beat most of the sides that are below us. So I'm confident we can have a really good year. But the draw is always going to be a factor, as is injuries. So, get excited. I'm looking forward to it. Whatever the challenge it is, we have to beat everyone anyway. We've got to beat them. So that's just the way it is. What's some thoughts there?
Mate, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we definitely had a great draw. We knew from the start of the year we were the team in the whole NRL that travelled the least amount of kilometres than any other team. Yep. Everything was great in our favour, but we had a rough trot for 8 years, So, we earned the right to finally get something go our way, and we made the most of it, like you said. However, having said all that, we still weren't absolutely smashing teams, 20, 30, 40-0 or whatever it was, like some of the bigger teams. Who was it? Was it the Storm that put a score on the Tigers, one game 60-something? We never did that at all. We don't do that to some of these teams. That's when we can start doing those effectively sometimes, we're going to be a good team. And then when we get to these games against now Penrith and Melbourne, which we could have won both of those games. In Melbourne, we spoke about the 10 line breaks. In Penrith, 8-6, probably the game of the year still. We had opportunities to win those games. But as we grow as a team, they're the wins that we got to start to get. And once you get those wins, you start to build on that and you believe more. Broncos we should have beaten when we were up 18-0, even minus some of their origin and our origin players. There was a lot of games where, we can talk about, a lot of details, but, we've still, and I think if you go down to a comment that Subox has got down the bottom there.
G'day, Paulie. Welcome.
Yep, keep going all the way down. So, we did. That's exactly right. We punched above our weight in the last 2 years, and we've done exceptionally well considering where we came from in 2023 in what Serraldo was doing in his first year. So last year was a shock to everyone that we were even making the 8, and this year it was a shock to most that we were even in the top 4. So we're going places. So it's like you said, the draw gets tough. Especially with AI generating it next year, it'll be interesting to see what it comes up with. But we have to be ready for it, just like everyone else. So it'll be good fun. Makes it for some very exciting games to go out and watch.
That's bloody brilliant. That's brilliant, mate. Dinkum Dog said. Nasheed said Dinkum Dog was a part of that. He was doing the bidding for the Andersons. Look, I don't think Lynn Anderson is the daughter of Peter Bullfrog Moore, mate, and it's not always bad, like boards need votes, so they're going to try and reach out to people. But I'm talking about there's some pretty influential people in circles that were just basically thought that they could do things better if they had more of an influence, is all I'm going to say. And it causes issues. And I don't doubt, though, these people do love the club as much as I do. They just go about things in a different way. I heard so many stories. It's hilarious, actually. It's rugby league, for fuck's sake. That's why I do a podcast every week. It's not serious at all. Paulie said we had a cracking year. We got over the next year or two is youth kicking the door down to play NRL. That's it. Timmy says, I'm supporting what you said a few weeks ago in regards to Galvin being signed mid-year. The amount of scrutiny from the media was outlandish. You mentioned how there's multiple players moved on mid-year. Well, there is. See, look, the biggest problem I had with Anasta was that he just couldn't let it go, and he just kept pushing it. And it didn't matter whether he was attacking the club or attacking the player or attacking the player manager. He kept pushing something he didn't need to push. He could have just shut up from then on. But he kept driving it because he wanted to prove to everyone that he was just doing his job. And look, I don't really care what anyone says. Some people love Braith Anasto. I love him as a player. I still have a lot of respect for him. I don't envy the fact that he's doing what he's got to do with the 3 different things, but that's the path he's chosen. But he didn't have to go about things the way that he did. And in my opinion, he should have come out and provided a bit more context. He should have said, well, Galvin's coming in. He's obviously going to disrupt players in the Jersey flag and that sort of thing, because it does. There's kids there who like expecting to get basically sort of believing they're going to get a certain role the following year, and it gets to the end of the year and there's no longer a role there, and they see someone from outside of the junior club go straight into the 30. It upsets them. That does make it hard for kids. They're kids, and their parents aren't going to be happy about it either. Their friends and family aren't going to be happy about it. And some of those friends and family are going to go onto Facebook and say shit about their coach and shit about our club. It's just human behavior. I get it. But it's a cutthroat industry and it's a professional industry, and that's the way it is. So if you're not getting what you want to get from the Bulldogs, you got to thank the Bulldogs and move on and go find another place to continue your love of your career. But, that's what Anasta should have been talking about as a disruption. As far as disrupting the team, it wasn't a problem when Sam Perrott joined our club mid-year. It wasn't a problem. Like, that's one thing he said. He goes, no Canterbury player has ever come to the Canterbury club from outside mid-season and joined us straight away and played first grade. Well, I guess he forgot about Chris Inu. He forgot about Sam Perrott. He forgot about Toby Sexton himself, which was hilarious, who came in without a fucking game, without, he was signed during the week and played that Friday night against Souths and played really well, mind you, against their reserve grade team. Because they had a lot of players in that last Origin match, and we just won the match. Blake Taft nearly beat us on his own. But that's what I mean. Like, they say this stuff in the media, and then they go and double down on their podcast. And they need to understand that there's consequences for this. It really makes it harder on the clubs and on the players themselves. Look, I think Galvin takes it in his stride. We've seen the stuff with Roger Fabry, who come out and said that it's Galvin's fault that the Bulldogs changed their logo, and Lockie was laughing at it. Good on him. He's taken it in his stride, and so he should. But people just need to chill the fuck out when it comes to these things, and not rest everything on the one decision by a club or the player. You need to understand the full picture. Anyway, Andy says, the tougher the better. That's how the Dogs roll. Best D in the comp. So let's keep building. Cameron's a genius. He turned an attacking roster of players into the best defence in the comp 2026. We unleash our attack. Great comment, Andy. That's getting a star. Comment of the day. Pete supports that 100%. No, it might not be a top 4 roster, Paulie, but that's sort of, and that's another thing as well, is on paper, if you go to the start of 24 or even 25 and on paper, look at the amount of games our players have played, look at all their stats, their line breaks, their assists, and all this sort of shit. None of them's. There's only a few players. There was Jacob Curran, who's like the best winger statistically in the comp, and then we all know how Preston is. Kick out with his offloads. Critter's the best defensive centre in the comp, apparently. And then, outside of that, we had no one. King bloody pushed his meters up an extra 20 meters a game. But you know why? It's because of how well our team defended, which prevented field position from the opposition, which allowed us to have field position that gave King opportunities to run the football. It's hilarious. Timmy says, out of all the comebacks from the Broncos, we had the biggest lead against the Broncos, 18-0.
We got cocky that game.
Yeah, look, it's funny because I said this before, but my missus at half-time when we led 18-0, I was really angry. And she's like, why are you angry? You're flogging them. I'm like, because we're going to lose. Because we're playing shit. I said, Jake Turpin was the only good player out there, in my opinion. We were lucky to score a couple of tries. And, yeah, it just didn't go well. And, look, Galvin didn't have a good game that night. That's okay. G'day, Nasheed. Hope you're well, mate. Make sure you like and subscribe. Join the channel. Pay me lots of money. Thank you very much. I'm going to keep saying it now.
All right, mate. You want to talk about some of these players that we're losing? What's going on?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about these youngsters. Everyone's dying
to hear.
What's going on?
So the Afualo brothers, so Will Afualo and Max Afualo. Max centre in the SG Ball. Really good prospect. And Will, who played in both grand finals in Jersey Flegg that won back-to-back. Got a couple of games in New South Wales Cup last year. Had a bit of a rough year. I felt he was coming good towards the end. Had a couple of bad knocks and a couple of injuries, but really good story on Will. Well, both of them have actually gone to join the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So there'll be an article coming out about those boys on Dogfather Media, and you'll also probably see it on Zero Tackle. But we've also lost. So Geordie Mazzoni has gone to South Sydney as well, as has another guy who's a young forward from SG Ball as well. Forgotten his name already. I didn't see him play too much, but young Vito. I think we might see Ruben Moyle. I think he's trying to negotiate with South as well. And Larry Malgatudia, who's a big prop forward. He played a lot of Rod Massey Cup, but actually sort of had some good games in New South Wales Cup when they were depleted a bit. So looks like South Sydney have signed or about to sign they've signed at least 4. They may have six players from our juniors join their club in their development pathways. And I look from South Sydney's point of view, I think getting a whole bunch of fellas that have tasted success, it just shows you how good our system is. It could be some opportunities lost for our club, but at the same time, it just shows you they've made decisions on other players as well. And I think the Dogs actually did want most of these players to stay with the club and fight it out. But players have got to do what's best for them as well. So, not household names, but any of these players might develop under Wayne Bennett and become future superstars. So hopefully they all live out their hopes and dreams. And, it's sad when Bulldogs juniors who are from the area are forced out of the club. But as I say, our club, you can't keep them all. And, I'm pretty sure all the decisions that are being made, while they're hard for these kids because they're all Bulldog supporters, or that they're being treated well by their new club and given real opportunity to continue their dreams. So it's a really positive thing. But this is what I mean. Like, you've got this sort of stuff happening all the time. Everyone's focused on just the NRL team that plays on the weekend. All of this stuff matters. It's all part of the culture. And it's not always perfect for everyone, and it's not always right for everyone. And, not every decision's the right decision either on either party. But the point I'm saying is that there's real stuff happening all the time, yet everyone's, out there typing on their phone, treating these players like they're fucking playing rugby league live 26 and they can control them with a joystick and they don't run out of energy, or they're a piece of meat that you just, they're actual fucking human beings and they all have good days and bad days. So, and they got families and whatever else. So it's pretty real, and it's real for all these kids. And I've been lucky enough to talk to some of the parents and talk to some of the guys and that. And there will be an interview. There will be an interview with, hopefully it still happens, but I'll keep it quiet from now. But it was one of our New South Wales Cup players who's playing internationals at the moment. Is going to come onto the podcast. So that'll be great. Can't wait for that. I'll keep you up to date once it's all confirmed. Currently playing internationals on the other side of the world. So there you go. And hopefully we'll develop into a future star for the Bulldogs.
Well, good luck to those players, Michael. But I will say that the Rabbitohs system and the team culture there is very good as well.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot to do with them through my employment, and I know they've got a great leader there, Blake Solly, and they've got a great culture there. So good luck to them, and hope they do well. But it's like you said, we can't keep them all, and as much as we want to, we've had to probably make hard decisions on these players, and we've had to make hard decisions to keep others, and sometimes also the management of these players sometimes can be influential in telling them that there's opportunities elsewhere and you don't have to wait. And these players have to believe their managers and go with what they think is best for their careers. So it's not always what the player wants, but at the end of the day, they got to trust the people that are around them to help them make those decisions.
Yeah, and I'll just finish on that with the managers too. Look, some managers are really desperate in the way they do business, and they can do a lot of damage to clubs and to players because they obviously going to tell young kids and the parents of these kids what the parents want to hear. And if the club's not speaking that same sort of belief and rhetoric, then you get problems and relationships between some of these kids as well and bonds that they have can really affect the culture from within. So play managers can cause a lot of issues. The club gets blamed for it all, but sometimes player managers need to be more transparent with how the actual reality of the process is and and just understand. But look, I can understand a player's point of view because players do get made promises, and sometimes those promises, they feel that they've ticked every box, but then the promise dissipates without much sort of talk. And that's a problem at all NRL clubs from what I've heard. They'll roll out the welcome carpet, they'll roll out the red carpet for a player, but that they want, but it's not always the same when they're on their way out. But that's just the nature of the business, and that's elite sport. That's everywhere. It's AFL, it's NRL, it's soccer. It's it's not perfect, and it's what is it? 1 or 2% make it to the NRL from Harold Matts. It's hard. Here we go. The Jungle Safari wants to know if size matters. Well, look, it didn't matter to your mother, mate. That's all I'm going to say. So I feel sorry for your dad, though. Timmy, that's awesome news. That's awesome news, brother. Yeah, it's good for people. I'm sad that some of these kids are going. And look, I'm sure the club had offers on the table for most of them. But, yeah, hopefully these player managers have done the right things for their clients. We can only hope. And hopefully our club, did the right by them as well. Anyway, we'll see what happens. So what else has happened in Gas?
Mate, we're still on Preston watch, waiting. The team hasn't been released yet. We're still waiting to see if the Aussies, now that they've wrapped up the series, will make some changes to Game 3 and allow some of the players. There was talk that they might rest Cleary and put Moses in as well. So let's waiting to see what's happening on that front to see if our man gets a run. It'll be good for his experience. I mean, look, even being in camp and training with the team, he will gain a lot. And he did the same thing with Origin this year. He trained with the team and everything. But he'll bring that back with him next year to the Bulldogs and later this year when they start back on I suppose he's not back till January anyway. He'll bring that back next year and it'll be a good thing because he's a 100% effort player. And I don't think he had a bad game this year. That's how consistent he is.
Yeah.
He's unlucky for him, Critter's there, but Preston for me is captain material. So don't be surprised when kick our hands down the baton that Preston will be next in line potentially in my books as the vice captain. As long as Critter's there.
Yeah, I 100% agree, bro. And look, Timmy says fingers crossed the Preston money gets minutes in the last test. So Timmy, good news for you is that I've ordered something. It should be coming in the mail. Hasn't been sent yet. Hopefully it looks good. And then when I get it, I'll send it off to you, brother. Might be a bucket hat or something like that. No worries, brother.
No worries, Timmy.
Pete's come up with a question. Oh, yeah, this is a good one to chat about.
Thanks,
Buller
Pete.
from
Good
the
one.
Tigers in the media joining the Dogs with value, managing some of the Dogs players. Well, that's Isaac Moses one, Peter. He's with Isaac Moses. Look, I'm very critical of Braith and Astor again on this subject when it comes to Triple M, because he has basically he's tried to insinuate that Buller's going to leave because for Moses to get a cut of his contract, he has to renegotiate a new deal, which is bullshit. Look, he might not be lying about that as far as that goes, but if Jareen Buller wants to stay at the Tigers, this comes down to the Tigers, right? If the Tigers enact the option, Buller gets to play at the team he's with, that he's built up relationships with his club mates. He gets to stay for an extra 900 grand, right? But if he doesn't, he's only, it's 700 grand. So if Buller wants to go, that's on Buller. It's not Isaac Moses isn't going to sit there and tell his client he needs to leave the Tigers so that Moses can get paid now. Now, Moses has got about $5 million worth of overseas soccer players. They're making good money. He's probably one of the richest in the NRL. And why do they keep signing up with him? It's not because he's a dickhead. It's because obviously he goes to bat for his clients. Yeah, he's made some shit mistakes, but Cameron Smith's still with him. It's not like Cameron Smith, he was Cameron Smith's manager when Smith apparently knew nothing about the salary, the extra sort of salary cap that they were running, the side cap they had that Moses helped orchestrate years ago. Like, this is 15 years ago, 16 years ago. But Cam Smith's still managed by Isaac Moses. So obviously he has a really good relationship with the people he manages, which is what his job is. Plus, he's got a heap of people that work for him that actually look after all of these guys. So, look, but I'm not stupid. Look, if we just start signing Isaac Moses players and nobody else, well, what's going to happen is that if we don't win, if we start losing games, Buzz and Crawley and Astor, they've already got the headlines written. Don't you worry about that. Their production managers have got them ready to go. These stories are written. Okay? These stories are ready to go. They'll be like, Buzz will have it on there. He'll have it listed how many players. He'll have Kurt Mann, who was the only one initially. And then it'll be, look, we had about 6 or 7 with Sam Ayub. Reed Marnie was with Sam Ayub. He's left. Sam Ayub is probably one of the only blokes that's friends with Gus Gould, like genuine, true mates, apparently, like they're besties. But Reed's no longer with us, so it's got nothing. There's definitely no conflicts of interest there. It's who's the player? Are they good people? Yeah, maybe we need to take one player to get another. That happens. I think Critter might be under Sam Ayub and Curran as well. Great. And then you've got, but I think Ayub's got Adam O'Brien. He's got Kurt Mann. He's got Galvin, obviously. I'm not sure who Montoya's with. I think he might be Ayub. Yeah, so if suddenly you've got 8 or 9 players from the one manager and your team's team starts losing, it's fair enough to ask questions. But I can tell you now, Buzz has got a flow chart already written with all the players that are managed by Moses. Not just Buzz, you've got Braith will be right on it. They'll be just waiting 3 losses in a row, and it'll be all Isaac Moses' fault. You heard it here first. Yeah, good call out, Timmy. Good call out, mate. John Farragher. Or Farragher.
Yeah.
Vale. All right. So well done, Pete. Good question. If we want to talk about now Buller himself, could he come to the Bulldogs now that I've finished having a crack at Braith? And Braith doesn't care, he wouldn't give a shit. Look, I think he's a really good player. I don't think he's coming to the Dogs for 900 grand. I could see the Dogs paying 7 or 8 for him though, for sure. And he's a good young talent, and I'd have him in the team 100%. If he's available, you take him.
Yeah.
But again, he's a fullback, but he's one of these taller sort of.
Bigger
I look at him and go, you could throw him on the wing as well. You could play him anywhere. He's some of the tries he scores are first class though. He knows how to score a good try. Love him. And he's Galvin's best mate, so there you go. All right, well, I reckon we've.
Has he
got
met
anything
Gus?
else you want to talk about?
Has Buller met Gus?
I don't think Buller's ever met Gus.
No, I think we're good, mate.
All right.
Any last minute questions? Otherwise, I think we're good to go, mate. And good luck if Preston plays this week. And see you all again next week.
As I said, guys, go to dogfathermedia.com.au. Just posted it there. Check out some articles and enjoy the linguistic narratives that come from me. All right. And if anyone needs a sponsor, I'm happy to just message me. I actually will be pitching for sponsors soon. Yep, no more. That's it. Still 87 people on apparently. So
thanks, Timmy.
Have a great week, Timmy. Thank you to everyone who said hello tonight. It's been a great pleasure to see you all, and we will talk to you soon. There'll be some videos coming out. There'll be some more articles. Check them out. They'll be on Facebook. Say hello whenever you want.
Keep seeing our Vegas countdowns. We had a special one this week with the grand final in 1942 featured.
1942, right. Our 118th match was the grand final victory over the Dragons.
Yes.
There you go.
SCG, 26,000 people. So, well done. Thanks, Andy.
My dog's barking. Thank you, Andy. Okay, guys. Put a comment on the YouTube, say hello, and go the Dogs. Go Preston. Delve into the Vegas breakdown. We will soon, brother. We will soon. Go the Dogs.
Go the Doggies.